Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of United Front Podcast. I'm your host, Greg McManus. Just a reminder before we start, we're only a couple of weeks away from Punk's Not Dead, Just Frozen. Totally Unicorn and Melbourne's own I Am Duckeye are set to explode all over the Baroque Room stage. With support from Sydney Speedball, Apprehension Avenue, and local heroes Madame Fatale, this is going to be a show to remember. Tickets are on sale now through ticketbooth.com.au for 15 plus booking fee, or they're available at the door for one big red lobster. Okay, my guest today is my good friend Glen Hurry, or as most of you know him, Gwair. He's a touring musician, owner and CEO of Fat Rat Promotions, and all-round good guy. We talk all things music, music festivals, and promotions. We had a good chat, and I'm really glad I get to share it with you. Give it up for Glen Hurry. Glen, welcome, dude.
Thanks, mate.
For those who don't know you, just tell us a bit about yourself.
My name's Glen. Most people know me as Gwair. I'm from Lithgow, New South Wales. I don't know what's to say.
What do you do, man? Like, what do you do at the moment? What sort of projects you got going on?
Projects? Too many. Besides being a bass player now in two, I'd say, established bands, and then I've got two other projects going on. I've started Fat Rat Promotions.
Yep.
Just booking gigs for other bands. Yeah.
Okay, so with the Fat Rat stuff, what's the goal there? What do you want to achieve with that?
Initially, I just wanted to put on a show here and there, and
global domination now, or
nah, not global domination. I just wanted to chuck a good show, have a good party, maybe get some local bands noticed, put them on the bill with some bigger bands, and you know. But yeah, so since then, just straight off the bat, I'll drop the ball on it. I got contacted by a label head recently who wants me to put together a little tour for an up-and-coming punk band he has here in Australia. And
so can you talk about the company you're dealing with or not?
Yeah, I can probably drop a bit of information, yeah. So the company is Global Golden Robot Records, who's one of the biggest independent record labels in the world, and mainly works out of Europe and America.
I had a look at some of their side stuff, and they got a fair few. Their roster's like pretty heavy. They've got a fair bit going on there.
Yeah, massive.
There's a lot of that sort of. You got that punk stuff, but then you got that flip side of 90s. It's got a 90s vibe on some of it.
Yeah, so he has, for Golden Robot, he actually has a lot of big international bands. Like some that we know here in Australia would be Skid Row. Pretty much every individual member of Guns N' Roses that, when they're not playing as a unit, as Guns N' Roses.
So like Gilby Clarke and
exactly
that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't actually know any of them other than
you're not old enough, mate.
No, I was only a little lad, but yeah, and he's got like Rose Tattoo and a bunch of other international bands. But he also, as a part of Golden Robot, has subdivisions. So the one that I'm working specifically with at the moment is Riot Records, which is a new punk label in Australia. And he's just trying to find those grind punk hardcore bands, and it's pretty new in Australia, but with the whole backing of Golden Robot International.
Yeah, nice. So it's specifically Australia, like, or the Riot stuff will be just
I
the punk,
think
full punk
at
division?
this point, Riot Records is mainly Australian. I might be speaking out of school. I haven't really researched it too much, but all the bands that I know on that label are Australian bands.
Yeah, sweet. No, it is cool. Yeah, so with that'll be really good for you, I think.
It's been hectic.
Yeah. What's it like so far? So say, you had an international guy just contact you randomly.
It was so random.
What do you do? How does it work? What do you got to do? Do you report back info, or?
I guess I need to sort of put a backstory to this, Greg. So, Fat Rat Promotions. For those of you who don't know, and unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you'd know. We were a part of putting together a Resilience Festival last year, and it was great. We had a great time, and from that, we wanted to put on a couple more shows. So Greg, yourself and me, we decided to put on a little show in Katoomba. And so we started to put this show together, which is coming up on the 9th of August at the Baroque Room.
There'll be 3 plugs probably within this one podcast for that, I'd say.
Just totally unicorn. Anyway, so we were putting this show together, and I thought, look, I want to make something of this. I know a lot of bands, I know a lot of people. I want to start putting them together, and so I thought I might do my own thing. And so Greg established United Front Productions, and I established Fat Rat Promotions, and we decided to start working together and book some shows. So from this, we're working on our initial show at the Baroque Room on the 9th of August. And
the sky's the limit, really. Yeah. Although we haven't really delved into a lot what's going to happen after that.
But big things.
That's probably, it's a conversation we need to have. Maybe not on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's a conversation that probably we need to think about having. About just direction anyway.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really cool. So with, obviously, you're promoting and you've got your own stuff as well. So music could be a fair chunk of your time now, wouldn't it? 80% of your time?
I'd say if we were going to include sleep and work into it, it'd be like 60%. If you took out sleep and work, it's like 97% of my time. Wow. Literally, it's hectic at the moment.
Okay, so if we take it back a bit now. So, what got you into music originally? Where did
I was thinking about this morning because I knew we were going to do this today, so I sort of had a little bit of a reflect on what I wanted to talk about with you. And growing up, my dad and all my uncles have always been in the music. My dad's been in bands, and at the moment he writes music for movies and ads and stuff like that.
So he does like sort of music score, like full sort of scoring stuff.
But it's. Wow. He has a day job, He's not a millionaire. He doesn't sell his stuff to Warner Brothers and such. Although you'll probably kick me for that because I think he may have a Warner Brothers. However, I was always around music growing up. There was always someone with a guitar in the room. There was, it was a big part of life. And then I got to the age where I was about 12 or 13, and I really should mention my Uncle Dale, who used to give me all these like tapes back in the day of all these heavier bands that I was probably a little bit young for.
So he opened the door.
He opened the door to the heavier, grungier, like back then it was more hair metal and sleaze metal. We're talking like
Motley Crue and
late 80s, early 90s, like Motley Crue. Don't even get me started. But but exactly that. And so then I got to the age of about 12, 13, and I started singing in a band. And what actually happened was there was like a youth centre, and they put together a band out of all the kids that would regular the space.
Oh, right, okay.
They hired instruments for us and everything. It was pretty cool incentive.
Nice. Yep.
So anyway, at the time I was doing singing lessons, and I wanted to be a singer. And
wow.
Yeah, and our bass player at the time, we did a show with this group, and we decided we'd do a little bit more as a group. And our bass player left. It wasn't really, we're all kids, and it wasn't his thing. So I sort of got forced into playing bass.
Oh, wow.
And
for the passion you have now, it's pretty funny to think you actually got forced into actually doing it.
Because my dad is a bass player predominantly. Like, he's a multi-instrumentalist musician, but bass player at heart, and that's been his main instrument. Yeah. So to actually be forced into playing bass, and because I always tell people, why do you play bass? And I was like, well, my dad played bass, and I always sort of, but the truth is, I kind of there was no one else, so I was like, and so I started playing bass for this band. I was about 13, and every time I played, we had like a music teacher that was kind of coordinating the band. It was sort of his project, and he used to tell me, oh, you're a natural, you should do this. And I just fell in love with it. Like I found a real passion with it and an outlet. So
that's good. But singing lessons, man,
I know, it's so funny considering how bad at bass I was then, and I like to think I'm pretty good now, and I can't sing for shit. Yeah,
because you wouldn't go down that road again.
I have to sing a bit in my bands now, and I listen to recordings, and I listen to footage that people put on Facebook and socials and stuff, and every time I hear myself sing, I cringe. I hate it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but they make me sing because we need backups.
Okay.
It's horrible.
It's even just good. Just talking to you now, it just makes me think back to some stuff that we've sort of done together and that as well. And
yeah.
We'll take it back. I know 10 years. 10 years?
Fuck,
Maybe
we're
even
getting
more.
old, mate. When you can think about life in 10-year increments.
Yeah. Like it's all about decades
intervals.
now. What decade? Where like was it? But you were like, the herbal remedy thing. So let's go back to that. Herbal remedy was a Lithgow local legend.
Oh,
I think it'd be fair to say.
We started that legend. Like,
Yeah, but you had your own hype.
we did.
And it was good. So, and you've done that with a good couple of friends. So, how did Herbal Remedy start? Because I think this is where I knew you back then, but yeah, I didn't really hang out with you a lot. I don't think so.
It was a lifetime ago, man. Herbal Remedy started. I don't know if I should name drop, but me and a friend at the time, we'll just say his name's Aaron McEwen. We started a band together, and what we were doing at the time, we didn't know what we were doing. We're just playing and having fun. And then we knew Les Burrows from,
Les Fender.
Les Fender, yeah, from Life, Used to go and watch his band Casket Slumber rehearse, and
Nice.
I was a big fan, little fanboy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so one day I was talking to Les. I'm like, yeah, me and Aaron have been jamming and we're starting to get all right. We need a drummer. And I only knew Les as a guitarist. And Les was like, oh, I'll play drums.
Yeah.
I just volunteered. And
He's another guy that's got a lot of talent, man. Like just
uber talented. And when Les says he's going to play in a band with you don't say no.
Nah.
You kick whoever else is in there out and go, yeah, we got Les.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Well, ironically, so one day we're jamming. So we're now a three-piece, me, Aaron, and Les. And we're jamming at my little apartment, which I don't know how I didn't get kicked out of there. We had a band that was really terrible, playing really, really loud in a 2-bedroom apartment flat.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so we had the police there a few times for noise complaints. But anyway.
Standard.
Yeah, standard.
Yeah.
So one day, we're jamming away, and we hear a bash on the door, and I open the door, and it's Growy, Aaron Grocott, and he's just standing there, and he's got a guitar and an amp.
I'm ready to go.
I've met this guy like once in passing. I didn't know him from a bar of soap. And he's just rocked up at my house with a guitar and an amp.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, oh, is Les here? I thought I'd come and have a jam. Just uber random. Just
wow, okay.
like, all right, come in. And we had a jam, and it sort of gelled, and like we've probably jammed another 1 or 2 times, and we're like, all right, well, we've got 2 guitarists now, and then as time progressed,
things sort of
changed, and we become a 3-piece. So, which kind of established Herbal Remedy as a 3-piece. So that was Grocott, myself, and Les.
Yeah, right. So you went with that for a couple of years. Like the band lasted a long time, eh?
15 years.
15 years.
15 years.
So in that time, there was a rage video. I can still remember now. The song. What was it called? Get Up, was it?
Yeah.
So there was like a full video of that.
Yeah, film clip that's on YouTube. So it's like a do-it-yourself makeshift film clip. It was fun.
Yeah, so it was a good experience to do that sort of stuff. Like,
yeah.
When you look back on Herbal Remedy now, I know it was a lot of covers and stuff you sort of did.
We did. We predominantly started out as an originals band, and initially we started as a covers band, just playing songs we liked. Yeah. And then we realised that people were paying us money, and like if the more poppy stuff we were playing, the more people would come. The more people would come, the more shows we get, the more money we got.
So it was like a job. It
become a job, and now I hate that, and it really did, because it took a passion that I had and kind of destroyed it. So and it took me getting out of music for a couple of years to get that passion back.
Oh wow! So you had to have a full break once that was done.
Oh yeah, I literally the band sort of went on hiatus a bit because I moved to Queensland, and but we'd still book shows. Like we'd do maybe 2 shows a year.
Yeah.
And I'd just fly back and would like maybe have a jam and then go and do a show. And but yeah, it did. It become a chore. It become a job. And I think both the other fellas would say the same thing if they were honest about it. So
yeah, because there was a time there where you were doing like the karaoke thing.
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
a
would have
whole nother
been,
era. Like, man, that band went for a long time, didn't it?
yeah, it was a long time. So
So
they
yeah,
it finishes
at that
up.
point, we were
Yeah.
literally playing sometimes 4 shows a week.
Oh wow.
On almost 2 shows every week, up to 4. But it was just a lot.
Mm.
Yeah,
There's a lot to take on. It would have been a job, man.
It was,
and
man.
I understand where you're at with like wanting to get away from that.
Yeah,
You know?
and the thing was, at the time, I was doing an apprenticeship, so I was studying, I was working, and then I had this, and I think I was playing in another 2 bands while all this was happening as well. So I was like busy. My life was just hectic, and
Yeah.
and that did become a chore on top of everything else that was going on.
So, okay, with yeah. So you've done your apprenticeship. So you're a chef by trade.
Yeah.
And you've done the tour of most of Queensland and Victoria.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what's FIFO work like? Fly in, fly out for those who don't.
Fly in, fly out.
Yeah, don't know.
It's great. I mean, it is what it is. If you kind of go in with a goal, and because you're away from your home, you're away from your friends and family, and it's a lonely life, but you get paid rewardingly for it.
Yeah.
So if you go in with a goal and say, well, I'm going to work fly in, fly out for 12 months and maybe put a deposit on a house, or,
Okay.
it's something you need to look at as a short-term thing for anyone that's interested in going into that line of work, because it takes its toll on you,
So how bad can it get?
Oh man, the suicide rate for fly in, fly out is something ridiculous. Like, I think it's 40% more than the average person. Like, I don't even think, I think I'm selling it short. It might be like 60% higher chance.
Because I've heard stories of people just they've got like another family.
Yeah,
They'll have like a
I've
partner
seen
and
that
stuff in
firsthand.
camp or whatever.
Yeah, people
And then-
literally, like, they fly home to their missus and kids, fly back to work, and they've got like a relationship where they're literally like, a bonded relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like two separate lives.
Completely separate lives.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Just to think how people sort of can do that. Like, that's not for me.
You kind of
personally,
you
but-
got to disconnect, man, because it is, you're isolated, and these camps are in these places where there's nothing for miles. I spent 3 years on an island offshore. Like,
Really?
yeah, 3 years working on there, and you kind of do develop 2 different lives. Like, I was flying home and partying for a week. I've got pretty messy. I mean, I used to call it R&R. You used to call it the mess period, because I'd just come home and make a mess of myself for a week.
What was your sort of general roster that you were working with that?
It's varied over the years I did it. 3 and 1 was probably the most consistent. So that's 3 weeks of work, 1 week off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and plus flying time and
That was
all
the
that sort of
killer,
stuff
man.
too.
Like,
So you'd be realistically having maybe 5 days off.
literally, yeah.
Yeah.
Because by the time I got home on my first day, it was late at night, and by the time I got back to work, I'd left it. I think I used to leave at like 6 in the morning, and I'd get there at 10 o'clock at night, like between flights and ferries and buses and
Wow.
trains.
Yeah. Okay. So you done that for 3 years, and then obviously I couldn't do that for 6 months, let alone 3 years personally.
I did it prior to that.
Yeah.
The 3 year stint was finishing up, but I did it for about 18 months prior to that, and took a little break from it. And this is the thing that gets you with fly in, fly out. You get used to the money, you get used to the situation, and then when it's not there, people find it hard to adapt back to a normal lifestyle.
It would be a pretty full-on lifestyle, because you'd have like a pretty, like, that 3-week routine where you're just like working 12 hours a day, and then to come back off that, you got a shit ton of cash because you haven't done anything with it.
Exactly.
And you got to do something with it.
That's right, because on camp you don't pay for food, electricity, like your board's paid, like pretty much all your living expenses are paid, and but you're so isolated and there's nothing you can do. Like, you're literally in a compound with your co-workers, and if you're anything like me, you find ways to occupy yourself, and mine was partying every night. So you say you work for 12 hours a day, that's true, but then I'd party for 6 hours, try and cram 6 hours sleep in, and repeat. So it took a big toll on me physically and mentally as well.
Wow, I bet, man. So you got to the point then, obviously, where you had to make a change. So you got out of it altogether.
Yeah.
Anyway, at least that sort of work. And you went to, you settled just like working here, like in Lithgow, didn't you? After that?
There was circumstances again behind that, but I've kind of figured that lifestyle was took enough of my time, and I needed like a normal life, a bit of consistency. So I moved back to Lithgow and started just working as a chef in the local club.
Yep. Okay. And it's pretty good. It would have, as you know, the money and the lifestyle would have been an adjustment. So
big change.
Yeah. So what was the first 6 months like of doing that?
It was a bit of a shock to the system. Mainly because I still had this fucking all I wanted to do was drink and party and have fun, and I think I wore a lot of my friends out because that's all I wanted to do all the time. Like there was no let's go out for a coffee. It was like let's go get smashed.
So it's just an adjustment period, man. Really
it was big, and it took a long time to sort of adjust outside of that. A long time.
Yeah, and that's it's understandable, man, for what it is, you know. So yeah, you've settled in, and actually we'll go back a bit more because with after the herbal remedy stuff, I was lucky enough. I played in 2 bands with you.
We did. Fuck, that was fun too. Wasn't
it? So the Kania stuff was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't remember how a lot of it started because I was pretty worse for wear at that time myself because I had a lot going on. But there was an opportunity there, and just somehow we ended up doing it. So and we played the Come Together Festival, and
went down and played some shows in Melbourne.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Which seems so foreign back then. Like to you, that's a normal thing now. Like
now it's kind of not uncommon. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you? How was your Kania time? What did you think of that time?
Oh man, I wish I had a bit of a more mature head on my shoulders at the time, to be honest, because there's so much potential in that band. There was some talented individuals, yourself included, and we had fun, and there was a lot of opportunity there. But I think personally, I didn't really take it as serious as I should have. But I learned a lot from it, and when you're playing with musicians like that, you tend to pick up your own skill level. So I think it helped me in that way as well.
Hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Isn't it?
But like with like Voltari, I don't know if you've heard of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, some of his new stuff is like fucking real good.
It's so good, isn't it? It's like Viking metal, but for a mountain Viking. I don't know.
It is pretty cool what he does. And there was that new album he brought out this year too. I don't know if you've heard that one yet, but I think it's like February this year he brought it out.
I've heard bits.
Yeah. So, shout out to Voltari there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other one was Career Suicide as well.
The talent of Marty, I would just want to give him his proper dues. I mean, the guy is an incredible guitarist, a phenomenal drummer, a great songwriter, and
production skills too.
Just a complete package, and the nicest guy. And the guy's like 7 foot tall, and I just want to point out, 7 foot tall guy on a drum kit playing at 300 beats a minute. It's pretty fun.
it's a sight to see.
It definitely is. He's got his knees around his ears.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. I do miss talking to him, but I don't. Oh, the last time I ran into him, it was a 2.5 hour conversation.
True.
Yeah.
It's so easy with Marty, isn't it?
So easy.
Yeah.
The other thing we did was Career Suicide, which was like a cover band, but we did some heavier sort of songs, and for me that was the first time I ever sung in a band. Was that band? And,
but you owned it, man. Like
it was
I remember
crazy.
you come around to a practice, and
I was so scared, man.
But you just smashed it. And Korea would never have been what it was if it wasn't for you, man. Like you gave it a different element that we didn't have and we needed. So
it was a lot of fun, man, and it was a really good time.
It was so dumb. When that started, Kurt was working at the Central.
Yeah, there's a whole story behind it, isn't there? Yeah,
it was so crazy.
So how did it start?
Kurt had a band pull out. He was booking bands at the Grand Central. This is back when the Central was like fun place to be, And
so this is probably about early 2000s, eh?
Yeah, it would be. I've seen a photo from 2006 of you and me, and we all got long hair, and it's pretty embarrassing. So I'm thinking it was like 2005, 2006.
Yep.
And anyway, so Kurt's had a band pull out on him on short notice. I think it was like they pulled out on Saturday for their Saturday night gig, and he's rang me and said, can Herbal do it? And Herbal couldn't do it. I think Les had something on. He just couldn't do it. So me and Kurt, who had played together a bit, and like we were good friends, and we knew we could sort of pull it off. We were like, well, let's just throw together a band, and we'll just do this gig.
Yeah.
So Greg, sorry mate, Kurt and I agreed we needed Growy, because without Growy, between us we had 400 songs that we could pump out. You know, with Growy, like we could do it, and we got
some shit
Maddie.
on G, like he's
dude.
he's got songs in there like in his brain.
I'll come back to him
soon,
we will, man,
yeah,
because I've started a new project with him.
Okay,
as recent as 2 days ago.
Finish this and then we'll go into that.
So we decided to get this band together and do this gig. So we've got together and we've had a jam, and we've worked out what songs we could pull off and what songs we couldn't. And we decided we needed a lot of banter to fill in the so we're just up there talking shit all night, playing a song and then talking shit, and all night we're going, well, we've been a band for 3 hours now, and then we'll try and play a song, and then we've been a band. So that's how it started originally, and then we kind of pulled it off, and we said, well, you know, this was fun, maybe we should look at doing it ongoing. And so we did, and then all of us being metalheads at heart, we decided if we're going to play covers, we wanted to play metal covers. So we did, and slowly but surely we got Jono Smiley come in and started playing lead guitar, and we kind of Growy ended up going back in the more of a vocals range, and Kurt come back on the rhythm guitar, and then you know, then you come over, had a jam, and all of a sudden we had like 2 strong vocalists who could complement each other, and yeah, so it all happened from somebody pulling out of a gig and us going, well, we'll just fucking play some music.
That's so funny for me, man, because I was always a fan of metal. Like, I've been a metal fan for a long time. Even as early as I can still remember in primary school, I had like Rage Against the Machine on tape. You know.
Yeah. Wow.
So always a fan, and
you forever were the metalhead. Like I remember when I met you, you were just so into the scene and everything, and I was.
It's a problem. It hasn't gone away.
Like playing as a musician, because you were so passionate about music.
Yeah, man. I just I did play guitar for a while, and I got lessons and stuff, and it was pretty good, but I just didn't, for whatever reason, I just didn't push myself further creatively, you know, like to go out and write my own shit after that. I was okay, I could play a structured thing. If someone gave me, this is all I've learned in hindsight after reflecting on it, but I could play something that if anyone had something structured for me and I could learn it and play it, but that actual creative side of it, I just couldn't work it out in my head. It's more logic brain than creative brain, if you know what I mean. So I stopped playing guitar. I just flat out like, you know what? I kind of went to the point and just like, I think I've got what I need out of that and I'm done. But I still got in the metal a lot. And yeah, just when I saw you guys play, and I remember I got up and had to sing for a song. I sung a song. It was one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done. But I thought it was really fucking cool. It was a bit of a bucket list thing for me at that time. So it was a pretty big deal.
Sing
yeah, dude, just to even try it. Yeah. So, and then to get the opportunity to do it, even in the cover band, was like fucking bad. And then after meeting talking to Marty a bit, you know, and then I got the opportunity to do it again. It was just like, holy shit. So
that was crazy, wasn't it?
Really? Yeah, like it was a full sort of, it was a trip, man. However long, it was a couple of years, but it was a crazy time. Yeah, I'm really glad I got to do that. It's one thing I can say that I've had the opportunity to do. Probably the only thing I never really did was I've never recorded an album or anything like that. I've been thinking about that a little bit more.
Do you remember recording that? I think it was in Growy's mum's lounge room with Kania one time.
Yeah, we did. I've got some demo stuff of Kania stuff, right. But I'd
love to hear it at some point, man.
Yeah, cool. I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to do do something, like even on my own, you know. But I just haven't got there yet. The opportunity hasn't arisen.
You say that, but how many times have I rang you and been like, "Hey, Greg, I'm starting a new project. I need a vocalist."
And I'm like, oh, because it's hard. It is hard, man. Like for me, it's pretty hard on my voice. Like the last time I jammed for like half an hour, I think I strained something, and it was like a week before I was sort of back to normal, you know. So I'd have to really start from scratch again and just like teach myself again,
build it back up,
yeah, over a fair bit of time. Yeah, but it was a pretty good time, man. It was amazing. I did enjoy it, yeah. And then that sort of just it finished off the way it did. Like, you know, Alex was doing a lot of stuff. Marty wanted to do stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just sort of it ended the way it did. And Yeah, it was a good time.
It was fantastic,
Yeah.
and I don't regret a minute of it. I remember playing a show at Come Together Festival, and it was a big lineup, and somehow I think Utopia Records put us on the bill. And I remember people coming up after the show and asking for an autograph, and I was like, however old I was a young fella, and I was like had the biggest arrogant head on my shoulders, like yeah, I'll sign your shit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah,
crazy time. But so you've started something with G recently, have you?
Yeah,
as in like a couple of days.
What happened? A mate from Wollongong, he's put together Josh Smith. He's put together. He has a promotion company, and I think it's called Creep Show Records, Creep Show Promotion, something.
Okay.
Forgive me, Josh, if I've got that wrong, mate. But so he's put this thing on one of the punk forums that we're on Facebook that said, basically he's looking for punk bands that want to cover an artist that has inspired them, and he's putting together a big charity gig down in Port Kembla at the Servo.
Oh, wow.
On the 2nd of November. So it's like a Halloween sort of thing. So basically, punk bands that are sort of established that want to do a cover set of a band that's inspired them. And I thought about it back to the Herbal Remedy days, and I thought, man, like we were uber inspired by System of a Down back then, and like anyone that knew Herbal Remedy knew us for System of a Down a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And we went nuts. We learnt like pretty much everything they ever wrote ever. So coming back off that, I contacted Josh, and I kind of explained the situation. Like, man, we used to play this System of a Down set all the time. Would love to come down. And Josh is like, yeah, that's great. I'll put you on the bill. And so through circumstance, we couldn't really go with the old Herbal Remedy lineup. I won't get too much into that. But so what I decided to do was contact Growy and see if he wanted to do this System of a Down thing, and I contacted a drummer I know, and John O'Smiley, who I think you're doing a podcast with coming up.
Eventually, yeah. I just got to get him up. I've got to get him in the right space with me, really. Like, I think he's got a fair bit happening. And
he does, and he lives he lives down near Wollongong now too. So, and then, just life, But yeah, so I contacted Smiley, and like I need a singer to do System of a Down, and within 2 minutes I got a reply back like, do you want to do this? And he's like, fuck yes. Like within 2 minutes, that's fuck yes.
He's been waiting for the call.
Yeah, for like 10 years, because we tried to do something similar 10 years ago, and you know. So with that being said, I knew we couldn't call it Herbal Remedy, because it's not. So we've called it 10 years later.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, right.
Yeah, 10 years later, we're gonna go down and do this little System of a Down project. And so we got together, I think it was on Friday. It might have been, I don't know, in the last couple of days we got together and did a show, did a rehearsal, and kind of come together pretty easily. And
Nice.
Yeah, I just come off night shift, so I don't know what day it is. So
that's okay. So, like it's another potential thing you'll end up doing.
Yeah, well, that's what I said to the boys. Like, let's treat it as a one-off, and if we all enjoy it and it works out well, like there's potential for more gigs. System of a Down are huge. Fuck, they haven't come to Australia in 10 years, so there is potential to book ourselves out as like a System of a Down cover band.
Yeah, like a tribute show or whatever.
Yeah. Like
that seems to be, I've noticed that's a bit of a thing at the moment. Like there's a lot of bigger sites and stuff are starting to back some of these tribute bands.
Yeah.
There was one I saw, there was a Slipknot tribute show, I think it was called Surfacing.
Yeah.
And there was another Linkin Park one, but yeah, they're actively promoting this stuff like a lot.
Yeah, right. There's big
it's
money
really
in
interesting.
it. Like that. There's a Queen production that's been in town recently. They're coming back to town again soon, and like they're pulling $35 a ticket for a damn tribute band. Like,
okay,
that's a big price.
But if you think about the people that dig it, though,
I don't know.
relive it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess there's only ever going to be one Freddie, and I guess it's not something that's going to happen again. So
no, never again. Yeah. So we did a festival last year.
We did,
and the same question I seem to ask everyone is like, what did you get out of that for you?
A lot, man. I can't even begin to scratch the surface. Because when we sort of went into all that, we all had the best intentions at heart, we lost a good friend, and there was a string of suicides at the time, and there was a lot of people hurting and a lot of people that needed answers, and our best way to kind of combat that was to put this little show together and give them a little bit of help and awareness of what they could do to help themselves. And so the show happened, but at the time I was also going through a lot. Like I was so we set out to help other people, but in a lot of ways it helped me. You know, I learned a lot, and ways to deal with my own depression as well. So.
Yeah, okay. It is pretty cathartic, man. Like it's everyone sort of said something similar, that you get something out of it, or like they all got something out of it for themselves.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of a rebuild sort of thing. Like for Steve, it was like a massive self-esteem builder for him, and you know, Sam and I talk about it a fair bit and just reminisce about it whenever we sort of catch up in that. But yeah, it was a good time, man.
It was
a
fantastic.
lot of hard work.
And that was another great part of it, like because it gave us something to focus on, you know.
Yeah, a positive thing,
a positive outlet. Absolutely.
Because I think like one of the things you read with depression and stuff is like, you know, a good thing to do if you are is to like give back and do something for someone else, because it's like it's such a positive thing when you do that.
A bit of self-worth.
Yeah. Like, and you're actually you're giving. You know, and you're making someone's life or someone's situation a lot better, and you get a lot out of that. Like, it is a good thing to do. So that was half of my motivation, I think, because I went through the whole thing of, you know, questioning why am I here? What's the deal? I think it may have been like with what happened to our friend, but just in general as well. I think it was just at that age or whatever, and it was just like, fuck, okay, so I'm out of my 20s now. Like, what the fuck am I meant to be doing here? Or what's my purpose, or what's my what's my motivation for life in general? And I reckon I had, like, when that first started, because it was an 18-month project, really, when you look at it.
Yeah.
So I think that first sort of 6 months was like trying to get my head around actually doing it, and like trying to find the purpose in doing it, and even with myself and my own shit. Just dealing with my own shit at the same time.
Absolutely, and I think that was beneficial for all of us. I mean, I remember the first meeting, and we were all still very much mourning, and you sort of had the idea, and you kind of got us all together at the cafe. And must have been about it. Yeah. 15 of us. There was a lot of us, eh?
There's a few people there, man, but I can remember still, like, we had a lot of people that were keen, but it was just time constraints and just commitments and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for people to do, you know, you can't drop everything just to do what we were doing.
But even at that table, like, we sat there and we said, like, we're going to put on a gig, and we were thinking about doing, like, a little show.
Yeah.
You know, with some, like, maybe a couple of local bands and like, to turn it into a festival where we had, like, touring acts and big name musicians, and, you know.
It was,
and then everything else that went with it. That whole room that Artie kind of looked after, that whole information seminar, like,
there's a lot of networking in that with that,
so
man. Like,
much.
I can remember initially I just went to so many of these. What are they called? They had like it was like an inter. Oh, shit, I can't think of the name of it now. Pretty much it's like an inner services meeting, right? So I just made myself available for these things. So I got to know some of the services in the area and just try and understand the whole thing. And still, like, for now, there is some good stuff happening, but it's that connection, man.
Exactly.
And it's making people making it accessible and not so...
That's right.
'Cause
like, you can have the
running.
best service in the world, but if people
Yeah.
don't know about it and they don't know how to access it, then what's the point of your service in the first place?
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, and like, yeah, I must stress that there is a lot of good stuff happening. Yeah. And there's people that are working their ass off
That's
for a good
absolutely
goal,
true. But at the
you know?
time, none of us knew it. Like,
Exactly.
you know this because you deliberately learnt this.
I had to go sort it. I had to go,
Yeah.
but
for the person on the
yeah.
street who's struggling and having issues, you know, the world's so bleak, you know, they don't know where to look. And I think that was a big part of the motivation behind it too, was actually connecting the people to the help they needed.
Yeah.
And teaching them how to help themselves. You know?
Yeah, that's right, man.
The whole, the right diet, right exercise, like, I had no idea that could affect your mental health. I guess now it was a bit naive to think it wouldn't, looking in retrospect, but... You know what I mean? I learned a lot from it individually as well.
That's
working with Sam and working with Artie, sitting in those little chats, and they were talking about all the ways that people can improve their mental health. And I was sitting there thinking, wow, I need to do this. Like,
I think we just had a pretty good collective of people for, like everyone offered something very
Absolutely.
unique, you know.
Yeah, everyone
And that's why
had their own attributes.
Yeah. So.
And what a good bunch of guys. Like, I think we made a bond together that will never be broken, the five of us.
Man, it's from where it went to, you know, we got it up to the end, we got the job done, and then it was like a cut-off period there for a while. It was a bit funny because it was just like you're so used to talking to each other every day.
Yeah, it was weird, eh?
And it was...
but it was also kind of nice.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I love these guys, but it's really good to not have to communicate for a while.
Yeah, and just have to, mentally commit to each other, because you had to. That's what we had to do. We had to commit. Like, I remember because we had like a massive group of people involved, right? As we said from the start, so it's 15. Then we had a Facebook group, and that grew, and there was about 20 or 30 people in it, right? And I thought, fuck, we're gonna have to do something here to try and, like, we're not moving forward. We've got a lot of ideas, but nothing's moving forward. So I remember putting in it. I'm like, there's gonna be a meeting at this place at this time. And then I thought to myself, before I even got there, I'm like, whoever turns up today, I know is committed to doing it, and we're just going to run with that from there. And that was it, man. The guys who turned up, which was you four, and that was it.
True.
And that's how it went, because it had to, because a lot of people wanted to offer their time and try and offer something, which is great, you know. But we had to like get to the nitty gritty stuff. And it's like, okay, well, we need to probably
roll up the sleeves
and get in, like really start hooking into it. And then that's when I thought, like, I'll hold this meeting, just whoever turns up, that's who will.
Man, I'm so glad I could get out of bed that day.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you made it happen, you know.
Hungover and eyes hanging out my head.
Yeah, but that was the turning point. It was just that one particular meeting we had. I'm like, okay, well, these dudes are like, they're in it as deep as I am. Let's go. Yeah. And then, like, you know, we were trying to chip away and just do things month by month. I think there was one month there where you were touring somewhere. I think you were overseas somewhere, New Zealand or somewhere.
I could have been too.
Artie was just graduating, becoming a psychologist.
Yeah.
I was in Italy.
We literally took like a month off.
Yeah, and like Sam was doing something.
That was good too, because it gave us all that little chance to refresh and come back to it with a positive attitude.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when you're wearing, you just need to take a step back and just have a rest. And you come back and everything's fresh again, you know, you're enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I find this with music a lot too. Like, if we grind, if we got like a big gig coming up and we're really pushing, we want to put on a good show, I'll grind my ass off, and then I'll just be like, look, I just need a rest. I need a day or two, and then I come back and everything just falls into place.
Yeah. That's good. Like, and then once that happened, that's when we went balls deep and done what we did.
I think also it was a time factor, because by the time that had happened, it was like, we have this deadline. Let's make this happen.
I can remember that was April.
Yeah.
And we had it done. We had an October deadline.
Exactly.
So there was a lot of shit. I look at that in hindsight, and like, I understand the way things happened the way they did, but like, if I did that again, it'd be so much more.
When we do it again.
When if the opportunity comes up, it'd be a lot more. I'd want to make it so the key of us would actually like really just enjoy the day.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like, I went to, for an example, I went to Download Festival this year with my brother Matt, and we just went. I had beers with him at like 10 in the morning at the at Parramatta. I was pretty cut by the time we walked in at midday, but it was just like I was in another world, and it was just like my day, and nothing mattered. And I want to have that same experience. I think that's what you need to get out of a music festival.
I feel like you're right, you do. And I feel like we did, because I remember us being in the mosh pit for Clowns. And I remember I was backstage doing something, and like I was, whatever I had to do at the time, and the Clowns come on stage, and I had to get up and announce them. So I got up and sort of said in a little piece and how happy we were that a band that we all adored made the effort to come down from Melbourne and or up from Melbourne and play the show. Yeah. And I just had that moment, and then I remember getting off, dropping the mic, and just running straight back down and around into the mosh pit. And there's you, there's Matt, there's like Sam, like, and it was.
That was our 40 minutes.
Man.
Yeah, that was our 40 minutes, I think.
We just ran amok. And I remember there was a moment for me, and I was looking up, watching Stevie and the Clowns, and just thinking, this is surreal. And I looked behind me, and the backdrop of the Lithgow Mountains, and it was just beautiful, you know. And it's like we made this happen, and it was a real proud moment.
That's good, man. Because there was a lot, you know, like I've said it multiple times, but like I couldn't get here, and then I just turn up on like the day before, and everything's set up.
Yeah, man.
And it was just like it was wow.
That was a grind. Do you know that night when we're setting up all the fencing and stuff? Yeah. It was pissing down rain. We're up to our ankles in mud. It was a grind, man. We had like all these teenagers from around the community helping us out, Broomies boys, and a couple of other kids. My cousin was down there, Michael, and I remember thinking like, wow, this is so cool. How much the community helped us out and how much they got behind us, physically setting it up, and then the lead up to it for donations. Like,
oh mate, it worked out. I think I was doing some numbers and stuff, and it worked out. It was a bit over 30 grand
donated.
The Lithgow community donated.
That's phenomenal.
And that was through. We had some help from the Springvale coal mine as well.
We certainly did.
And that's a big shout out to them and their union as well, because it was their union side of it that donated that money. And fantastic guys too. They were just really cool. They just love having a chat, and they're just like, you know what, we like what you're doing, and we understand why you're doing it. So any kind of resource or anything you need,
well,
just ring us.
In saying that, like, you know, we're saying that we were affected by losing a friend, but the community lost a lot of good people. And
yeah, man.
No one was safe from that. Like, it affected the whole town, you know. So
yeah.
But I remember, like, we were doing a sausage sizzle or something, and there were people that would come up, and we obviously had a sign that kind of described who we were and what we were doing and why we were trying to raise the funds. And I remember people just coming up and just giving me cash, you know, and saying, look, don't want a sausage, don't want anything. I just, like, I appreciate what you're doing and want to make my donation. And
yeah, we just we did raise a lot of awareness, and
we certainly did. You know, at the end of the day, I feel like it was a complete success. You know, we would have loved to have seen another 1,000 people in there, so we could have made a large donation back to the community. But I feel like we gave the community something that they really needed.
I think it definitely worked. And actually, I had this conversation with my brother Matt. And did he tell you about the Tonight Alive story, the recent one?
No.
Okay, so what happened was the weekend that we went to, there was Clowns on the Friday night. We both went to that. Yeah. And the Saturday night he went to another show with Sam. I can't think of I can't remember the name of the person now or the band. But it was at the Crowbar again, and the guitarist out of Tonight Alive is the bar manager of the Crowbar.
True. There you go.
You know this now, yeah. So, or he was at that particular night. Who knows? I don't even know if you're really meant to be saying that, but
yeah.
So anyway, Matt recognised him, and he was just he couldn't work out who it was, so he got a beer, he went back, stewed on it for a little while, and he just said, "Oh, like, you know, are you the guitarist out of Tonight Alive?" And he goes, "Yeah," and he just started talking about the festival and stuff. And he said something along the lines, like, don't quote me word for word here, but something along the lines of, like, he had the opportunity to play a lot of cool places, and he put Rizzo in, like, his top 3, just because of the vibe and the scenery and all that sort of stuff. And he said, like, they gave it as much as what they would have for 80,000 in the UK.
They were fantastic.
They were really good.
How does that make you feel? You must be quite proud.
It's pretty cool. And he knew my last name, too.
Right.
So that was pretty cool, I suppose. Yeah.
I'm just going to point out that that's written in text on my ass cheek. Just for those who don't know.
Never forget. But so that was a bit of a feel good thing I got out of that. But on the flip side of that was when I spoke to someone. It was New Year's Eve, and I'd done like a pop-up store thing. I actually saw you that night as well.
In Katoomba at the Baroque Room.
Yeah, that was.
Where we'll be on the 9th of August.
Mike Smith and the Atlantics, I think, was the actual Mike Smith from the Atlantics, and he had like a band and stuff. Anyway, I spoke to a girl there who said she came, and then she's gone and sorted out therapy since then. And I thought, okay, well, the real reason and the real goal was
that's
and
the reward, really,
it
right
fucking
there.
worked, man. Like, we set out a goal and we achieved it, you know. So yeah, it put everything into perspective, and it gave it a bit more of a sort of human thing for me, instead of just looking at numbers and what, you know, like, you know, all that sort of stuff, analytic stuff of it. It gave me the whole human reason about why wanted to do it in the first place.
Yeah, and that's very fair because like you were spending hours and hours and hours a day.
It's consuming
on this project, so
Yeah.
it's easy for it to sort of become disconnected to the actual people, and I can understand 100%, man.
It was
'cause
hard, man.
You really dedicated yourself for that 18 months to this project.
But, you know, a lot of good help, though, you know, in saying that too, man. But at times, like, yeah, you know, Michelle helped me a lot with it as well. And just I'd run things by her. You know, it's a good thing to do. And, fuck, man, I reckon it'd be more than 6 or 7 times I was ready to quit.
Yeah.
At some point, yeah.
Well,
And I just said, "Fuck, I can't." I've given people my word, and I've got to follow through with it. And I was accountable to you. You know, that's the way I looked at it. So it had to happen.
that was never not going to happen, man.
Oh yeah,
it was
but
never not going to happen.
oh,
Like,
dude, I could have tapped out. I tell you, like
Yeah,
a
but-
few things. Just when things, you know, not that we didn't have a lot of stuff go wrong. It's just we were underskilled.
Oh,
A lot of
100%.
it,
Like,
you know.
generally, us idiots who have no experience in this should not have been
None,
able to
mate.
pull that
None
off
whatsoever.
whatsoever. Like,
No.
you know, if we're looking back at the time I was a chef, you know, like, okay, Broomy's a truck driver, you know, you work in, what is it you do?
I do like inventory management, so
Oh,
it's
right.
like it's all sort of
I thought logistics, but it's not
yeah.
really
There's some of that as well. Yeah. At the time, at the time I was doing like like logistics and inventory, so it was just like, you know, move things here. Everything was very logic driven. So like, you know,
They're very blue
black and
collar, you know, and
and it was good.
I
Like,
think all of us were in that blue collar kind of workforce, and for us to be able to pull something together like that, it's pretty impressive.
yeah, it is, man, for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, I still look back on it now, and like, obviously we're talking about it now. It was a good time, and it was something I've always wanted to achieve. Just another bucket list thing, man. And I think you just can't be scared of trying stuff. If it's something you want to do, fuck it, have a go.
Absolutely.
If it works, it
Absolutely.
does. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, look at what you got out of it. Still, like, you'll still get something out of it.
Yeah, they say that, right? Like, failure is just a learning curve. Like, it's just a
Just
lesson to learn.
try to not have like a massive curve, slight incline.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really good. And yeah. Anyway, we sort of went on a bit of a tangent
We
there.
did. Yeah.
All right, so okay, you're another band you're in now, Speedball.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How'd that happen?
Oh, that's crazy. It's funny because everything happens for a reason, you know. And sometimes you think you're just doing like helping someone out, and then something kind of comes in return. It's really karma, I guess. But so what happened was Jet, who is Speedball, he has been Speedball since the 90s. Like, he contacted me from my band that I was playing in at the time, and recently reformed called Adama. And he said he wanted to organise a gig and wanted us to play. And then he messaged me back and said, look, my drummer can't do this tour I've got coming up. Can you find me a drummer? Like, I'll pay for the flights, accommodation. There's like an Australia-New Zealand tour.
Yep.
Like, I'll pay for the whole thing. I just need someone to drum for me. So I instantly went back to my drummer who I was playing with at the time, Luke, and said, mate, this guy's contacted me. I don't know for real. I've never met the guy. I don't know the circumstance, but he's saying he wants the drummer and he's going to take you around the country. So, you know, it's a good opportunity for you.
You should get on it, yeah.
Yeah, so Luke's hit him up and got the part and everything. And so for bass player that, I don't know what the circumstance was. The bass player Jet had at the time, I don't know if he didn't work out or what the scenario was. But it turned out he ended up needing a bass player as well. And Luke said, well, let's get Glenn. Glenn's competent. And so went and had a jam, learnt all his songs, and then 3 weeks later we travelled the damn country and went overseas. And
okay. The whole thing just sort of went from there.
just happened, you know. And it was just from me seeing an opportunity for a mate and being like, you should get on this, and it sort of come full swing.
Yeah, okay. So you've done a few shows with them. How far do you think that'll go? Or do you plan on recording anything with that? Or you?
Yeah, Jet wants to record. He wants to do another album. So I'm currently still playing in Speedball. As I said, it's more of a Jet project. I'm just sort of like a hired goon, I guess.
Goons.
I do it because I love doing it, I love getting up and I've been networking and meeting a lot of people on playing these shows. And so Jet's got another tour, more of a regional New South Wales tour coming up, playing, Canberra, Newcastle, Wollongong, like all the sort of out suburbs of the city. And then at the end of the year, we're looking at going over to Indonesia and doing some shows over in Bali.
Oh, wow.
And so Jet never stops. Like, I've never met a more dedicated man. He's dedicated to the scenes, dedicated to the band. Like, he lives and breathes punk music. That's just who Jet is.
I've only met him once, and I did talk to him for a fair while the first time I met him, and he's got a lot. He knows a lot of stuff,
Yeah, man, and he doesn't stop. Like, honestly, he wakes up in the morning and thinks about playing the next gig and where the next show is going to be, and have I got enough merch? And he just does not stop. And I love that about the guy. It's one of his most my favourite things about the fella,
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, and in playing with Jet, I've had a lot of opportunities myself, playing a lot of shows, met a lot of people, and that's sort of what I take from it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
good networking session.
Exactly, and it's just so fun. Like, it's just so fun. Get out and play live. Get on the piss with all the other bands, and
have a good time.
Yeah.
All right, shameless self promotion, man.
Righto.
Far away. What do you got going on at the moment?
Oh man!
Obviously, we have the Punk's Not Dead, Just Frozen, but this will be. I'll be plugging that quite all the way through intro and outro and that as well.
All right.
So what else do you want to promote?
I don't know. That's hard. So recently reformed my old death metal band, Colder Dharma, and we've recently just got a really experienced vocalist, Scotchy, on board. Scotchy from Fester and Drippage and Cause of Death, if you remember that.
Cause of Death, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Scotchy's on board, and the band's taken a whole new direction, and we're really proud of where we're heading.
You got any shows for that lined up
already?
already?
Have a couple. Only one I can confirm at the moment is the 13th of December at Hideaway Bar in Sydney.
Okay.
So we got that going on. Got a bunch of shows with Speedball. Just jump on Speedball's Facebook, and there's events for days on that. Like, I think the whole of like August and September, and so there's a lot going on with Speedball.
Beautiful.
That new project I was talking about, System of a Down thing, we'll be playing on the 2nd of November at the Servo at Port Kembla. So get amongst that if you're a System fan or a punk music fan or a live music fan. I think it's like $5 or $10 at the door, but everything's for charity. It's a charity gig. So even if you don't like music, just come and support what we're trying to do. What else have we got going on? Punk promoting. That's been a big part of my life now. And I've been spending a lot of time on it, arranging this tour. So the band at the moment I'm about to send on tour are called The Kids. They've got a lot of backing from their label, Riot Records, Golden Robot Records.
Yep.
They're toured UK, they've toured America, they've played some big shows with some big supports. And so it's been a delight to try and arrange this tour for them, which will be happening in late September and the entirety of October. I've booked them shows in Brisbane, Gold Coast, Melbourne, Adelaide, all over Sydney, so it's going to be a thing. So wherever you are, check out one of them shows, come and say hi. Hopefully I'll be there and have a beer and a chat.
Yep.
What else? Don't know.
That's about it?
That's about it, I think.
Mad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for your time today, man. I really appreciate it. It's been
good, man.
Pretty cool chat, and we can go again in 6 months' time when we're maybe doing something else.
I suggested this earlier, but I reckon next time we should just get on the piss and see how the conversation ends.
It'll go down the hill.
It will go
downhill a bit, I reckon.
It will definitely be an R-rated session.
Yeah, maybe a special episode only. All right, thanks,
cool, man.
Dude. Really
Awesome.
appreciate it. Thanks,
Love
man.
your work, mate.
Cheers. And we are done. Thanks again, Glenn. We've got a lot of love for you, dude. Just a reminder, Punk's Not Dead, Just Frozen is just around the corner. Totally Unicorn and Melbourne's own I Am Duckeye are set to explode all over the Baroque Room stage. With support from Sydney Speedball, Apprehension Avenue and local heroes Madame Fatale, this will be a show to remember. tickets are on sale now. Ticketbooth.com.au for 15 plus booking fee, or they'll be available at the door for $20. You heard it here, $20. I've been listening to the new Totally Unicorn record as well, called Sorry, and there is some dark shit on there, but it's sensational. So keen to see it live, and I just can't wait. Thanks to all of you that are listening and downloading the podcast. It means a world. Seen some 5-star ratings and just some pretty awesome reviews, and just I really appreciate the messages, guys. So good. Well, that's me done. Hope you enjoy your week. Take it easy.